Okay, welcome. My name is Hala Alkattan. I am an intern for Journey to Aspire, the podcast, the scholarship and leadership program, which provides academic and professional development for students interested in becoming lawyers. With me today, I have Omar Erchid, who is a solo practitioner at Ercihid Law Firm here in Tampa, Florida. He does litigation and transactional practice, specializing in real estate and business law. Omar is a Tampa native and a Seminole. He graduated from University of South Florida in 2014 with a bachelor's in journalism, and he attended Florida State University for law school. During his time in law school, he clerked for the Attorney General's office in Tallahassee, Florida, and also worked for Boyd & Durant Law Firm. He is a member of the Bay Area Real Estate Council, Attorney Title Fund Services, a member of the Real Property Probate Trust Law section of the Florida Bar, and a board member of the Tampa Bay Muslim Chamber of Commerce. In his free time, he likes to work, read, play sports, and listen to podcasts. Welcome, Omar. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. Did you say in my free time I like to work? That means I never had free time.
Yeah, that was a little mistake, but we all like to keep busy, right?
I do find myself working on the weekends, so yeah, I guess it's part of life now.
Yeah. So let's go back to the beginning. Why did you want to become a lawyer, decide to become a
lawyer? To be honest with you, I think a lot of people will tell you, a lot of lawyers I've spoken to will tell you that it wasn't really their plan A. And that was definitely the case with me. I grew up wanting to be a doctor. I went to college originally planning to do a pre-med degree and then go to med school. I quickly realized that I did not want to do medicine, and I switched over to a pre-law path probably like 2 years in. So I decided, hey, I'm not going to graduate in biology. I don't really care to go to med school anymore, but law school seems a lot more interesting. So I switched over to do a journalism degree. Why did I pick law school? I've always had a knack for writing, and I've always enjoyed history and politics and government. I was taking a couple of civics class at the time, and they were easily my favorite. And I figured that a law degree being so versatile was kind of like my calling. Or at least, by process of elimination, I knew I didn't want to be a doctor, I didn't want to be a dentist, I didn't want to be a lot of other things. Law degree, you don't necessarily have to practice law with it. You can do so much more. And I thought that because of how versatile it is, I was going to be a natural fit for it, or at least it seemed the most compatible with what I enjoyed and what I could be interested in. It's tough to do something that you're not interested in, and studying biology was just that. So that was kind of how I decided to go into law. I was also involved in a couple of different humanitarian and social justice activist initiatives on campus during my time at USF. And when you're younger, you're so full of energy and passionate about affording people their human and civil rights, and that's something that you should be passionate about your whole life. But it also drove me towards pursuing a career in law and trying to understand how the world works and trying to find your place in improving the world to what extent you can.
Yeah, I actually kind of went through the same process. I was interested in going into the medical field, specifically dentistry, and then I didn't like it. I loved helping people, so I was just thinking about like what I could do, what career path I could take, and I talked to a couple lawyers, and I did mock trial in high school, and that's when I realized that this is something that I can do, and I loved it. Like, I don't regret it at all.
Same, and yeah. It's like I said, process of elimination does a lot. So yeah. if when I always tell people, if you're not really so sold on it, especially medicine, like you already have to have near perfect grades to get into med school. if you don't have those and you're not enjoying it and you don't see that you're going to be very passionate about it, don't waste your time with it, because if you're not going to enjoy something, you're never going to innovate in that field. You might be able to graduate with a degree, you might be able to go into that practice and work in that industry, but you'll never innovate in it if you're not passionate about it, because you're always going to treat it as like a 9 to 5, something I just do in the office and go home. But you're never going to treat it as, how can I take it to the next step? How can I do something in that field that really is going to be a breakthrough, or how can I really become the best that I can be within that industry, within that field?
Yeah, I definitely agree. So let's talk about your process in applying to law school and, taking the LSAT. How was that?
So I took the LSAT twice, I believe. I took it, the first time I took it was in my last semester of undergrad. My last semester also happened to be my busiest semester between taking all of the high level courses for my journalism major, all like the advanced classes. I kind of pushed them off to the last semester. So I think I was taking 15 or 18 credits, and none of them were really like the soft electives that a lot of seniors push, or a lot of seniors try to leave to their last year.
Right.
So it was already a very jam-packed schedule, and I was also involved in a couple of student organizations, and then I also was studying for the LSAT. I had a great time. I loved my last year and I loved my last semester because of how busy I was and how involved I was in all the different people I was interacting with on a daily basis. I really felt really sad to be leaving college. But at the same time, I don't think I was able to put as much effort into studying as I should have. I ended up taking the LSAT that semester, and then my score came back, and it wasn't a bad score, but I said, you know what, I think I owe it to myself to take it again. Law school's already so expensive to go to.
Yeah.
I want to try to get a better score and go somewhere that's going to offer me a scholarship. And then also, I was really starting to flirt with the idea of taking a whole year off. So I said, how about I take a year off here, study for the LSAT, and really try to do something during that year, because it's really tough to get that kind of time once you join, what they call the real world, and you start working full time. So that's what I decided to do. I took the year off. It was a big decision to make, because you hear so many stories about people who decide to take time off from school, and then just because of their circumstances or the way life goes, they never end up going back. But I kind of always had that intention that, this is going to be a very temporary hiatus from school, and I'm going to make it back. And you have to kind of tell yourself that every single day, or you'll get complacent, or you're going to allow yourself to be okay with not going back to school. So I studied for the LSAT pretty much right after the summer I graduated. I spent 2 months, I believe, studying, a month or two kind of full time. Took the LSAT again, got the score I wanted, applied to, I think, only 2 or 3 schools, because I had my eyes on FSU years before I got into it. I grew up a Seminole fan, and I knew I wanted to go to FSU. I knew I wanted to stay in state. I didn't really care about going to an elite private school or anything like that. I just wanted to go to FSU really bad. So I got in there. Funny story, I actually used to have a FSU hat that I would wear all the time. It was my favorite hat, and I had lost it. It was about, I don't know, a year or so that I had not found it. And then on the day that FSU called me for my admissions, it was an unforgettable phone call. I found my hat that same day. So
wow.
Yeah, I know.
It's meant to be.
There's some kind of sign. Yeah. So I found it the morning before they called me. So it was just nuts.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But that's really what I did.
So after you took your LSAT, did you work or what did you do after for the rest of the year?
Yeah, I took it in September, so I didn't really waste too much time studying and taking it. So I had between
Yeah.
September and when does school start? I don't know, August.
Yeah.
I actually went to Kuwait and I studied studied Arabic um, over there for a little bit. I figured, and I lived with some family members, so it was nice
Right.
to take a couple months there, and then I came back here and I worked as well. So I tried to save up some money so I could um, buy a car and have some living expenses for the next 3 years in Tallahassee.
Right. That's amazing. Like you were very productive in your time, especially learning Arabic. I mean, studying
Yeah,
it.
I
Yeah.
mean, it was a big deal to go and learn it formally instead of the Arabic
Yeah.
that is spoken between people is really informal. I just
Yeah.
wanted to have a better grasp of it, and I went and learned it a little bit formally and learned the grammar rules. That's time that I'll never get back, and that's something that when you get older, it's very difficult to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. So once you got into law school, I mean, and how was your first year and what I mean,
First year, I was a really good student first year. I wish I could say the same about the second and the third year, but my first year, I came in there really excited and really kind of just taking everything that the professors tell you and all the older students tell you about what it's going to be like, and really focus on studying. My school did I don't know how you explain it, but like a preliminary week, or like a get your feet wet kind of week before law
mhm,
school started, where like, hey, come and see what like a law school class is um, going to be like. And only a handful of people accepted the invitation. I was one of them. So it was nice because the dean of the law school taught that like mock class for a couple days, and I kind of had a head start, knowing what a typical day in law school and how to brief was going to go like.
yeah,
And I got to make a couple friends during that week that, because it's only 10-15 people, you guys get pretty close, and you keep
yeah,
those friendships for the rest of your time in law school. But yeah, my first year, I'd study hard. Every day after class, I'd go into the library, the basement of FSU Law, and I'd try to do all my readings. And I was really good about reading and really good about highlighting and briefing and whatnot. Um, and I got good grades my first year. I was in the top third of the class, and I was just really trying to to distinguish myself, I guess.
yeah,
So
yeah, definitely. Did you, so, going into law school, did you know what area of law you wanted to practice, or did you figure that out along the way?
no, I really didn't, to be honest with you. Like I said, I kind of had an inclination towards nonprofit or human rights work. I didn't, I wasn't so set on it, but I thought that would be something I'd explore. But at the same time, I kind of um, was attracted to the idea of working for a huge law firm, big law, in a big city. So that's something I kept myself open to as well. I know I didn't want to do a couple different fields of practice. I knew I didn't want to do criminal law. I had done like a small internship during my time in college at the public defender's office. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really exciting, but I knew I was not going to be able to practice that, or I didn't have
Yeah,
too much inclination to practice that for the rest of my life. So there were a couple things I was able to cross off my list. I knew I wanted to stay in the civil field. I knew I wanted to do something business oriented. After a while, I clerked at the Attorney General's office in Tallahassee, which was a really cool opportunity. And the only reason I got to do that was because I arrived in Tallahassee in my 2L summer earlier than everybody else, and I just made phone calls everywhere, and I asked, hey, I need a clerk job, can I work here? And the early bird gets the worm. They didn't even have a position open, but I tell people this all the time. It doesn't hurt to call. It doesn't hurt to speak to whoever's heading the department, and just kind of force your way sometime, or just kind of put yourself on their radar. I spoke to the head of the litigation bureau at the AG's office. I told him, hey, I know you don't have a clerk's position right now, but if you need one, I'm here. I'm here for the summer. And he said he'll call me back, or he'll take me to lunch or something. And I didn't think he'd ever call me back, but sure enough, he did. So
it's amazing. I feel like I definitely agree with, in terms of just like asking and reaching out, and because you never know. I mean, you just have to kind of do your part in getting your name out there and trying. And the worst thing that can happen is no. But if you don't try, then you're never going to get an opportunity.
Very true.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And when COVID started, just like speaking from my own experience, I was a little bit bummed out because a lot of law offices closed, and I kind of wanted to, just get experience and work. But I still did my part in reaching out to attorneys everywhere. I didn't really care what kind of area of law. I just wanted to just get my name out there and work. And in August, I actually heard back from multiple attorneys. So it really, like, I highly encourage people to, just try. Don't think it's too difficult, because it really isn't. You never know. So
yeah, you miss every opportunity you miss every shot you don't take. So I don't have any kind of aversion to being rejected. I don't care, because to get accepted, you have to get rejected. So I tried to call every private law office, or every government office too, that could possibly have a clerk position. And a lot of people didn't call me back. A lot of people didn't answer. A lot of people, just told me flat out, we can't hire you. But the AG's office was considered kind of like, if you were going to work for a government office, it was going to be the best one, and they paid the best too. So like, I wasn't top 5 of my class or anything, but because I took the initiative and made that phone call, I got a position that may have been kept for more prestigious students. So you miss every shot you don't take. So I always encourage people to do that. I worked in revenue litigation. So it was a lot of state tax litigation that the AG handled, and I was clerking in that division at the AG's office.
Very interesting. Yeah, I definitely agree. So let's fast forward to, graduating law school and taking the bar. How is your experience in that?
Graduating law school, taking the bar. When did I graduate? 2018. So almost 3 years ago, and time flies so quick. But it was kind of bittersweet. You as taxing as law school can be, you somehow enjoy it too. And there wasn't much time between graduation and bar prep. So I think you take a week off, if that, and then you start hitting the books. I graduated in Tallahassee, came down to Tampa for a couple days, and then I went right back to Tallahassee to go study. The law school was holding review sessions as well. So I thought it would be nice to stay in Tallahassee, also be away from my family, and really focus as much as I could. And man, studying for the bar is something you never want to have to do more than once in your life, because it's from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, you're thinking about it for 2 months, and it's a marathon. You don't want to treat it like a sprint. But I think everyone will tell you that you do end up burning out, and that burnout point comes like a couple weeks before the exam, and you start doubting yourself and telling yourself like, I'm just gonna probably fail this. It's I think they design it to play with your mind. I mean, I don't think it's really too indicative of how well of an attorney how well of a practitioner you're going to be, but it's part of the rites of passage.
Yeah.
So I definitely didn't enjoy studying for the bar. I don't think you'll find anyone that'll tell you they did.
Yeah.
But I think it's like 2 months straight of studying. You take the bar, and then you kind of just try to wipe your brain clean of everything, because there's no use dwelling on the exam until the results come out. You can't change your grade. You can't do anything about it, so don't think. So I kind of just took a vacation after that for a few weeks, and I got back to Tallahassee to work. I was working for a real estate law firm. I loved my time there, and just kind of was waiting until my scores came out, or until the bar results came out, and I learned in, I think, September, a couple months after the exam, that I did pass.
Amazing. I'm about to take the bar exam in July, so I'm mentally preparing for it now, and slowly just doing some review. Nothing too intense, but I'm definitely afraid of the burnout. But
Hey, I would recommend taking one of those bar prep courses, because all the information, all the material is going to be in all the books, and it's all the same.
yeah,
But the bar prep courses give you structure, and for a person who needs structure to be productive, like me, it means a lot.
yeah, definitely. I actually signed up for barbering, so we'll see how that goes.
That's one of the good ones.
Yeah. Okay, so you took the bar and you remained in Tallahassee for a while, but now you're working on your own. So can you tell me the process of going solo?
Yeah. So my first summer after law school, I worked. I did a clerkship at the Hillsborough County Circuit Court. Great time. Clerked for a judge who I still to this day keep in touch with. Second summer, I worked for the AG's office, and I remained working at the AG's office till the next May. And then after that, I started working for, first as a clerk, and then after I graduated as an attorney, and then after I passed the bar as a licensed attorney for a real estate law firm called Boyd & Durant. It was a small law firm, so they had 3 attorneys, and then 4, including me, and then some support staff, and they had a title closing agency as well. I loved every day that I worked there. It was such a great environment, and I really had the best boss. So I enjoyed my time there. I learned a lot, and it being a small law firm, they put a lot on your plate, so they throw you into the fire kind of right away. So I was doing things that attorneys in bigger law firms might have to wait a couple of years to do. So I got to go and do hearings, handle hearings. I remember I argued a summary judgment motion. I got a final judgment. I got to appear in court quite a bit. So I was doing drafting a lot of the pleadings at the time too. So my boss there, he was a very patient person too, Mr. Joe Boyd. He was also like a ocean of knowledge. His dad was the Chief Justice of the Florida Supreme Court, so he kind of knew he knew everybody in town. He knew all the judges. He knew all the big players in Tallahassee and people throughout the state. So I thought that was invaluable to be kind of under his auspices. He was a very just a great personality, and I feel like a mentor has to be like that in order to be effective, and I just can't say enough great things about him and about the firm, about the paralegals I worked with. Really kind of pushed what my vision was going to be. Like I said, I had wanted to work for a big law firm, but when I started working at Boyd & Durant, and I just really enjoyed my time there, I saw how much more personable being in a small law firm environment is, and how people still had time to do the things they liked, and you didn't get the you didn't witness a lot of the negative aspects that you hear about corporate culture. I started thinking more and more that, hey, I think I'm more inclined towards an environment like this rather than a big 50, 100, 200 attorney law firm, where you feel like people are always at each other's throats. So the atmosphere was always congenial, and I really liked that, and I told myself that this is where I want to be at one day. After I passed the bar, I worked there for about 9-10 months maybe as a licensed attorney. I always knew I wanted to move back to Tampa. I'm born and raised in Tampa, and it's where my family is, where everyone I know is, and where I knew that this is my future is going to be in Tampa. So my time at Boyd and Durant, I knew was not going to be forever. So I tried looking for opportunities here in Tampa within the field of practice that I wanted to stay in, which was real estate. Also something that I didn't know I want to practice, but just because I enjoyed it so much there, and because I understood it, and because it's a niche field, I started telling myself, I like this. This is what I want to do. I also have a big network here in Tampa of realtors, people in construction, developers that could feed me as soon as I started my practice. So things just kind of started falling into place. I tried looking for some opportunities in Tampa while I was still up in Tallahassee, but I remember all the openings for the openings for real estate lawyers were a very, very, very small number. And then I think most of them wanted people with like a couple years of experience. I didn't have that. I was a new grad. And then there were tons of openings for other fields of practice. I think mostly like plaintiff's law or insurance defense. I didn't want to practice any of that. So I made a lot of phone calls for a lot of positions that were not even available, sent out a lot of resumes, applied to a lot of job openings. Some would give me calls, some would give me interviews. I think I even got a few offers too, but nothing that I kind of really piqued my interest. So I was kind of feeling down one day. I remember calling my dad and telling him, hey, I kind of have this like really outlandish or crazy idea. What if I moved back home and I started my own practice? Because I feel like I kind of want to call my own shots. And I was just kind of, I didn't even really believe what I was saying. I was just saying it out of frustration. And my dad really supported me, and I was kind of surprised. He said, yeah, I think that's a great idea. Move back home and do that. And I think you'll be very good at it. And I think that that's what you're cut out for. And I was like, you know what, I just may. And I started looking into operating a solo firm more and more. I did open up my own LLC. I filed for my own LLC, and I did start to do practice on the side. So when I'd come home from work, I'd do some small practice in the evenings. So slowly, I did have a number of clients under my belt, and then I decided, at some point that, hey, I'm ready to make the big move, and I came back here. I read a lot about starting your own firm. I think the Florida Bar has a couple of resources about how to start your own practice and what you should be aware of, and they do have quite a bit on their website to help walk you through. I utilized some of it, but I also utilized a lot of the mentors around me to do that. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like you definitely took a big risk. I'm about to graduate, and I just feel like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm in that position, but that's amazing, and it's good to have good people around you, mentors.
That's so natural. If you weren't feeling like that, I'd say be worried. But something I learned very, very, very early is that a lot of times you just have to pretend that you know what the hell you're doing. Like fake it till you
Yeah.
make it.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
obviously go do your research and get to a point where you know what you're doing, but
Right.
sometimes just having confidence in front of people and especially your clients goes a long way. And always trust in yourself to be able to figure things out, but never be
Yeah.
afraid to take those leaps.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, going to law school in itself is a risk. So, and I feel like, I mean, Omar has been a really good mentor for me as well. I always reach out to him. It doesn't really hurt to ask everyone. The legal community is very good in helping out. So I feel like, you know, I'm not afraid to ask questions because, I mean, obviously you learn through others and through trial and error. And so yeah, it's great. That's another thing I love about the legal field is that people are always willing to help. So
Yeah, I didn't have too many people that I knew that went into law to ask. I had like really one or two people, and even a lot of the questions that I had asked them, they didn't really have answers because they were not too much older than I was, or hadn't been in practice, or hadn't practiced the kind of law that I was interested in. So I always kind of made it a point for myself that if people came to me to ask, I'd try to be as open to have as open door policy as I could, because I wish I had that.
yeah,
That feeling where someone was there to kind of get my back. So I always tell people, you're looking to apply to law school, you're in law school, you're looking for your first job after law school. I might not be able to give you answers, but hopefully I can guide you to someone who can.
yeah, that's great. I mean, and I hope to be a resource like that too for people who are looking into law school and needing help. Before we finish, one last question. Do you have any advice for people that, you know, are trying to apply or thinking about, you know, becoming an attorney or even just going out on their own, you know?
Yeah. Don't ever be afraid of the consequences, and don't let too much of the noise get to you. I remember like people were saying years ago that the economy is bad. It's tough for you to land a job right now. Look into something besides law. Look into something that's more guaranteed. Have a fallback plan. You know, start smaller, or go take a job that you don't necessarily like, but it's something that you will, you know, be able to put on your resume. And you know, in some situations maybe that's the right thing to do, but I kind of felt like I don't have to, you know, follow the same narrative that a lot of people do. Don't be afraid to craft your own route, or take your own road to get to wherever you want to be. And you don't necessarily have to know exactly where you're going. Have an idea, set some goals, but don't let people feel like there's one. Don't let people make you feel like there's one blueprint as to how to be a lawyer or how to get to reach your career goals. I mean, I'm still figuring it out every single day too, but you know, I you know, kind of what we talked about earlier. Don't ever be afraid to pick up the phone and call people and try to help yourself out, because if you don't take those opportunities, you're never going to find them. You're never going to find what you're looking for. You're going to get rejected a lot. That's fine. I don't know any successful person that only had successes their whole life. And yeah, just always be pushing and what's that guy say, that Thomas, the locomotive, what does he always say about just keep on chugging or or whatnot, some generic piece of advice like that.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. That's great. Thank you very much.
One last thing, if I may add, I'm only a member of the Florida bar, But from what I can tell, Florida has a great bar, and it has great resources. They have a lawyers advising lawyers program that I use once in a while. You can make a request to speak to a lawyer in any certain kind of field. They have different sections within the Florida bar of experts. You can always reach out to people, and they're more than willing to help. And like the legal community, a lot of lawyers are jerks. They are, and I deal with them on a daily basis. But I'd say most lawyers are very helpful. Most people want to form good relationships with other people, and they want to kind of change the reputation of lawyers in Florida, and probably within the whole industry. So don't ever feel, the Florida bar has a lot of great resources, and I'll just leave it at that.
That's amazing. So is that just through the Florida bar website? Is that how you, what's it called again?
The Florida bar has so many sections within its website.
Okay.
But there's the lawyers advising lawyers program. I think it's for attorneys that are members of the bar, but they also have like a section called legal. I think it's called Legal Fuel. It's for solo practitioners, or how to set up your own law firm, and some good resources on that, how to be in compliance with everything like trust accounting, and there's probably some marketing tips on there as well. So, and they put a lot of great articles up there. I think the Florida bar is one of the more involved bars in the country.
Okay, that's amazing. Thank you very much for that information, and thank you so much for your time, Omar. I appreciate it. This was a really informative conversation. I learned a lot, so I appreciate it. And if you want to find out more, you can go to www.journeytoesquire.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you.